How many of you have partaken of Subway in recent days? No, not beer. Not beer. Well, no. Yeah, you probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't because Nick is about to explain to us why Subway is the worst franchise in America. He's got a flat files out here. I have not had Subway for a while because their bread has actually gotten. I hate Subway's bread, and they've become grotesquely overpriced, and they're just not good. No, sir, I don't like them. So, Nick, dial it in for us, shall you?
You know it's going to be good when I have to call my lawyer before I post the video. Today we're talking about Subway. Why? Because I went there for like the first time in 10 years the other day, and they asked me for a tip at checkout, which annoyed me. So then I looked into it, and then I found out that you can get hepatitis from a sandwich. I'm not exactly.
Sorry, fucking what? You can get hepatitis from one of their sandwiches. The tipping thing is already egregious as fuck. And a lot of places are doing that, but you can get goddamn hepatitis from one of their sandwiches. Where are they sourcing their products from, and what evil mad scientist chemistry lab are they being thrown in?
From a sandwich. I'm not exaggerating, that actually happened, and it's like the tip of the iceberg, and to be honest with you, this is also the part where my lawyer explicitly told me to insert a disclaimer in this video. So here's Jake the lawyer, aka the Internet Esquire.
Okay, here's the deal, Subway Group, now wholly owned by affiliates of Rourke Capital and formerly known as Pizza Super Submarine Sandwiches. My client, the Mr. Fat Electrician, is providing in this video true or substantially true information derived from reasonably reliable and publicly available material. There are no known falsehoods made, and any analysis of the material presented is made solely for the purposes of news reporting, protected commentary, or new understandings. In no way is this video or the things said by my client in this video in any medium now known or hereafter devised, throughout the universe and in perpetuity, in any way a sponsorship or endorsement of Subway Group. And any so-called conclusions drawn by my client as a result of the material are that of opinion, satire, or are otherwise accurate depictions preserved in their full context when not otherwise artistically interpreted for the purposes of valuable public commentary. And notwithstanding the foregoing, we reserve all right, title, and interest in and to the presentation of the materials presented in this audiovisual format, and with God as our witness, pray that no binders be bound against you as a result of this video. I'm Jake the lawyer, signing off.
All right.
That is beautiful. Jake is so fucking based. I fucking love Jake. Yes, he is absolutely goated. He is not only Unsub's lawyer, he is also Corridor Digital's lawyer. He used to be a producer for Corridor Digital. He's made appearances on Brandon's channel shooting guns. I fucking love Jake. And by the way, I will point out, he's looking good. Jake is looking damn good right there. Let's all Jake looking very handsome, I must say.
In case you can't tell, this video is going to be unhinged, so let's just get the ad out of the way now, and then we can watch my blood pressure rise for the next 15 minutes straight. This video is brought to you by Supremacy World War III, a free-to-play online PvP strategy-based game available on mobile and desktop. It is based on a World War III type scenario, which definitely isn't becoming more and more realistic every single day. You can pick your country and go off to war playing with up to 99 other people. Personally, I'm picking the United States because I enjoy winning. But hey, that's me. You can do whatever you want. You can go play as Iran. Maybe it's fun to lose your entire navy in like 45 minutes. Again, I mean, seriously, if I had a nickel for every single time that a Republican TV star became the president of the United States and then orcas randomly started wearing dead salmons on top of their heads, and then America destroyed Iran's entire navy in like a day, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but that's a really weird coincidence. Also, yes, I called
Yes,
that.
it is.
They also just released their new officer update where you can unlock elite commanders that give your entire country unique abilities and powers and power-ups. And if you use my code down below, you're going to immediately unlock a free railgun, giving you a huge advantage right out of the gate. So go check that out. Let's get back to the video. All right, story time. I used to go to Subway every single day my junior, senior year of high school, and the entire time I was in college, I pretty much exclusively survived off of Subway and protein shakes. And this is back in the...
And I used to too. I used to enjoy Subway frequently. When I was still living in Newfoundland, the job I worked at was in part of like a strip mall or a plaza area, and there was Subway within the plaza, and I would frequently do lunch by getting Subway for my lunch. Basically had a choice of I could go to McDonald's or I could go to Subway, which is right there in the plaza. And I would have Subway all the time. I used to love Subway. I absolutely used to love Subway. It was delicious. The bread was tasty. Yes, I know legally it cannot be called bread. Legally it has to be called cake. And I'm sure Nick is going to talk about that. But the sandwiches were good. They were tasty. I very much enjoyed them. Since I moved out of Newfoundland, the first time I went to a Subway where I moved to, what the fuck? The bread was crusty and not like nasty crusty, but it was like hard. The bread was like hard. The bread was not soft in any way, and it was just like nasty. And I've never eaten from Subway ever again since then. It was, they won't take coupons. The prices are out of control. They want you to tip them for actually going in and having the employees do their job and make the sandwich and then hand it to you at the counter, not even like bring it to your table like a waiter, like, okay, I've made your sandwich. You're going to pay for it. Now, please give me more money because Subway will not pay their employees properly. So we have to make up for it by trying to bilk more money out of the customer by tipping the literal sandwich artist that's behind the counter. It's fucking disgusting.
The day when that Jared from Subway guy that lost a bunch of weight was still in every other TV commercial and plastered all over billboards all over the country, and footlongs were $5.
Jared.
So when I went into Subway the other day for the first time in like 10 years, I was expecting the price, probably went up a little bit. Inflation, everything going on. It's probably not $5 anymore. That's fine. I go in, I have my sandwich made, I get to checkout. My sandwich was like $19.
Yes.
They said market price.
So right out of the gate, there's some sticker shock, but immediately I'm looking for silver linings. I'm like, okay, Subway's probably one of these companies that has like a pretty high minimum wage for their workers, and that's what's going to justify the price of the sandwich. It's actually going to the worker. You know what? That's fine. And then the cash.
Oh, Nick. Oh, you sweet summer child.
You know what? That's fine. And then the cashier does the classic swivel the fucking tablet around, asking me how much money I want to leave for a tip.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
Immediately, I cave to societal pressure because I don't want this young lady to think I'm an asshole, so I leave a tip, I grab my sandwich, I go eat my sandwich. While I'm eating the sandwich, I'm just stewing. Like, I don't think I should have to tip the people that work at Subway. Not because I don't think, they provide a service, they did a good job, or, they deserve.
And I think they have done away with this. They used to do this also, the tip thing. This is way off topic, but yeah, I know you're surprised. They used to do this at the self-checkouts at Walmart. I'm not joking. I think there was enough backlash to it that they very quickly did away with it. But at one point, Walmart actually tried to do a tipping option at the self-checkout. It was brief. No, not the jars for charity tipping. They still do that. Walmart still absolutely goes, do you want to donate to this charity? Do you want to donate to this charity? Yes, they still absolutely do that. There was a legit, do you want to leave a tip for like the employees? Thank you, Griffin Knight. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Have a wonderful night. Yeah, they tried to do a legit, regular tip thing. Now, again, I think it was very short-lived. It lasted like maybe a couple weeks, and then people started like talking about it online, and Walmart went and got a shit ton of backlash, and Walmart went, oh shit, this is a bad idea. Maybe they only did it in a few pilot stores, perhaps, and caught the bad backlash and said, okay, fuck it, we're not doing this anymore. They yanked him, but for a brief moment in time, they did try to do that at self-checkout. Oh, yes.
To make more money, they do, that's fine, but the company should be paying them more fucking money. I just paid 300% more money for my sandwich. Pay your employees more money. I understand Subway's a restaurant and like you tip people that work at restaurants, but it's not like I sat down, a waiter came out, took my drink order, took my food order, brought me my food. There was no service involved, okay? I stood there and told you how to make the fucking sandwich. I was the project manager on this sandwich, okay? As far as I'm concerned, I'm part of the team.
Under the crew, part of the ship. Part of the crew.
At this point, I become convinced at some point in the past 10 years, all the big wigs at Subway got together in their headquarters in some secret underground layer underneath the volcano or wherever Subway's headquarters is, and they had a meeting, and in that meeting, they were like, okay, guys, we need to pay our employees more money. Option A, we can raise the price of the sandwich 300% and pay our employees more money. Option B, we can raise the price of the sandwich 300% and then we can add a tip screen. That way, when the employees are mad they're not making enough money, we shift the blame from us to the customers. Damn.
How very governmental of Subway if they by choosing option B, because that's what the government does. That's what the government did with the mortgage bubble. When the mortgage bubble burst and we had the economic crash of 2007, that's exactly what they did. They basically bailed out the banks and then they blamed teachers and poor people on the economic crash. So yeah, the Subway is basically taking a page out of the government's book for passing the blame game. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry, you don't get to charge me 4 times as much for a sandwich and then also try to paint me as an asshole to the high schooler behind the cash register. It's not gonna happen. So now I gotta know everything. I start digging into Subway.
What is... Grab
a
shovel. So once upon a time, 1965, there's...
No. Okay. Nick, okay. No. Sorry. I gotta call you on this one.
Digging into Subway.
What is... Grab a shovel.
So
you should have done Nick. You should have done a voiceover there for Rick and said, grab a binder. I'm sorry, Nick, this was a fucking layup for you. All you had to do is when Rick was speaking, you cut Rick's sound and you overlay your own voice saying, grab a binder. It's right there for you, my guy. Seriously now.
So, once upon a time, 1965, there's a 17-year-old kid named Fred DeLuca, and he wants to go off to medical school, but he doesn't have enough money to pay for it. So he's like, hey, my family has this rich friend. He's a nuclear physicist. He's got all kinds of money. I'm going to go to him and ask for his advice, probably secretly hoping that the guy's just going to offer to pay for my college. To his surprise, instead, nuclear physicist guy is like, I'm not going to pay for your college, but I will give you $1,000 to start a sandwich shop, and me and you can go into business together, and then you can use the money from the sandwich shop to pay for medical school. And $1,000 in 1965 is like 20 grand today, so not an insignificant amount of money. So they open up Pete's Submarines, which is the original name for Subway, and for the first couple of years, they don't really make any money, and a humongous problem they have is people keep calling to order pizza. Because apparently Fred DeLuca in all the radio advertisements has a thick New York accent, so when he says Pete's Submarines, what people hear is Pizza Marines.
Shit.
So rather than learning how to say Pete's Submarines, he's like, fuck it, we're just gonna rename the restaurant Subway. From here, they start like breaking even. They're making a little bit of money, but like it's nothing to write home about. He's not gonna be able to go to medical school anytime soon. And he's like, okay, hear me out. I've got an idea. We're not really making any money with this submarine shop. What if we double down and open a second submarine shop?
Dream big, right?
Basically, he uses reverse psychology
Double
into
it.
tricking people to come in to eat these sandwiches because when he opens up a second location, people are like, oh my God, they're opening up second locations. They're expanding. They must be delicious. And he starts getting more business. Some of the best advice I've ever heard in my entire life when I was in the military was fake it till you make it. And that's exactly what they're doing here. And it works. Now, ultimately, this is going to be their downfall. But at the time, it makes sense. Fred identifies, hey, rapid expansion is what's making money. We're going to keep rapidly expanding. More locations, more money, more market dominance. Makes sense. So they start opening up Subways everywhere, and then they start franchising, which is, you know, basically, hey, you can use my branding, you can use all my vendors, I'll show you how to do this job.
Here we
you
go.
pay me a bunch of money to open up a Subway, and then you give me like a percentage of your cut, and then
They use the second shops to test out changes. So basically they use the second shop as a test kitchen, which honestly, in and of itself, is not a terrible idea. Okay, Quiznos used to be better. Quiznos no longer exists. So you can say Quiznos is better all you want, but it shut down. So, but plenty of like food franchises will have like basically an entire store that they'll utilize as a test kitchen. That's pretty standard practice. So saying, is Quiznos over? I thought they shut down. I thought for sure Quiznos actually shut down. Okay, my mistake. I thought the business had closed down entirely. My bad. Sorry, I'm wrong. Okay, 99%. Okay, so wait, is the dead just only mostly dead? Where's Miracle Max when you need him?
job, you pay me a bunch of money to open up a Subway, and then you give me like a percentage of your cut, and then they just start opening up franchises all over the United States. And this is actually brilliant for Subway because Subway has a ton of advantages when it comes to franchising. Because Subway, they're just making sandwiches. They don't need deep fryers. They don't need a big cooktop. They don't need all the stuff that other restaurants need. They don't need a ton of special equipment. There's not a bunch of special training. Everybody on the planet knows how to make a sandwich. So the overhead to open up a new restaurant is extremely low. The amount of training you have to give employees is extremely low, and the amount of space that you actually need to have a functioning Subway is also extremely low because, again, they don't have ovens and deep fryers and all that other shit. Which also means that it's really cheap to start a Subway because there's not a lot of overhead, so you could open up a Subway for like $150,000 to $200,000, where competitors like McDonald's are like $2 million to open up a McDonald's. And this is where Subway's fixation with hyper expansion starts to bite them in the ass because, again, that's all they care about, just more Subways. More Subways is the answer. More Subways equals more money. Typically with a
So basically, they're going to be stretching themselves way too thin, is what this is going to boil down to. They're so dedicated to opening up as many stores as possible, they're going to end up stretching the company's resources way too thin over way too vast of an area, and quality is going to suffer because of it.
franchise, the franchising company like Subway or McDonald's is committed to making sure that their franchisees, aka their restaurant locations and their owners, are successful. There's a lot of ways that they do this, and one of the big ones is typically having territories. So like Chick-fil-A or McDonald's will look at a city and be like, okay, this city has one McDonald's, it's big enough for two McDonald's, but we're gonna stick it on the other end of town so both of these franchises can be successful. Subway, on the other hand, doesn't appear to give a shit because remember, all they care about is having more Subways. More equals more money, so they don't care how close they get put together, and there's Subways across the street from Subways all over America.
So they basically went with the Starbucks method of expansion. The problem is, Subway is not Starbucks. Therein lies your problem. Because, yeah, Starbucks is probably one of the very few franchises that can literally get away with the concept of having a Starbucks directly across the street from another Starbucks, and both of those Starbuckses will be successful. They are like the only ones that can do it. Tim Hortons comes into a close second. Like Tim Hortons really does try just shove franchises into everywhere. Like when I lived in Newfoundland, I think I had. Let me do a count really quick. When I lived in Newfoundland, in one town on the West Coast, like the quote unquote major town of Corner Brook on the west coast of Newfoundland, it's basically in terms of population density, Corner Brook, Newfoundland has the population of essentially what would be like a large town in the U.S. and like one of the major states. So I would say it probably had a population density of. Actually, I'm legit curious now. What is the population density of Corner Brook? And this will give you a good idea. Population of Corner Brook. Oh, bugger. Hang on. Corner Brook population. Okay. Yeah, so we're talking about a city with a population size of not quite 32,000 people. That is the population density of Corner Brook, Newfoundland, okay? So not quite 32,000 people. And it literally had 3 Tim Hortons in this city of not even 32,000 people. So Tim Hortons was trying to go the route of Starbucks and just cram as many into a single geographic location as possible. And they can kind of do that because it's a coffee shop where the selling point is coffee. They have food, but that's not the predominant thing. The predominant thing is coffee. Subway is food. Okay, you can't have a Subway across the street from another Subway when you're selling sub sandwiches because it doesn't work. Because it's a completely different product, and people are not going to go, they're not gonna love Subway that much where they're flooding into both fucking Subways to get these sub sandwiches. It just, like, they tried to do the Starbucks and Timmy's method, and it's not gonna work out for them.
I'm not exaggerating. In my small town in Iowa, there's 3 Subways, and 2 of them are in the same parking lot. One of them is in Walmart, and the other one is like 200 yards outside the front doors of Walmart as a standalone Subway. So obviously, they start cannibalizing each other's profits. They're literally—
No! Wait! Hang on. Nope, sorry. I was gonna say there's 4 Timmy's in Quarterbuck. I'm wrong. I said there's only 3. Never mind.
competing with themselves. And that's not even the worst part. The overall franchise agreement, I've looked into a lot of restaurants to have franchising. This is the worst one by far. I would be shocked if it's not the worst one on the planet. Not only if you open up a Subway, will they let somebody else open up another Subway right across the street and cannibalize a lot of your profits, they also have like the highest franchise fee that I've ever come across at 12.5%. And a franchise fee is taken from gross revenue, not gross profit, meaning before you even take out all the costs of running this business, Subway's taking 12.5% right off the top. To put it into perspective, McDonald's franchise fee is 8%. So Subway's is
Jesus, Subway's fee is fucking predatory. That is predatory as fuck. Why would anyone want to open up a franchise with these people? Holy hell.
50% higher for a much simpler business. And that's not even the worst part. In the Subway franchise agreement, well, in every franchise agreement, really, there's, terms where you can revoke somebody's franchise. Basically, like if a McDonald's or a Chick-fil-A isn't living up to the McDonald's or Chick-fil-A name, they can take away the name so you're no longer a McDonald's or a Chick-fil-A so you don't ruin their reputation across the entire country. And Subway has the same thing. That's fine, but theirs is intentionally broad and they can basically take your location from you for a wide variety of reasons, and they've been taken to court multiple times, being accused of nitpicking minor stuff to take over very profitable locations, including in 2005 when they seized 2 Subways in Dallas, Texas from a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve who was actively on deployment in fucking Afghanistan. Now, to be fair—
What? Wait, I gotta read that. A soldier who served in Afghanistan is fighting a battle of a different kind back home in Texas. Lieutenant Colonel Leon Batty claims in a lawsuit that 2 Dallas Subway sandwich shops he owned were illegally taken from him when he went to war in 2005. I was totally floored, Batty said. In the military, you always have your brother's back, and I really thought that Subway had my back. Oh, that was your first mistake, Lieutenant Colonel. But it feels as if they stabbed me in the back. Subway is vigorously defending itself in the lawsuit. In a statement, the company said it supports American troops, but has the right to make sure its restaurants are properly managed and believes it followed the law in this case. Are you fucking kidding me? As if we didn't need a better reason to hate fucking Subway, they fucked over an active duty service member who owned 2 of their stores, and they took him away while he was in fucking combat. Holy shit.
Colonel in the Army Reserve who was actively on deployment in fucking Afghanistan. Now, to be fair, I don't know what their justification was for why they seized the locations, but considering the fact that in 2009, Subway lost the court case to said Lieutenant Colonel because they deemed it illegal, I'm gonna—
Hang on, I want to read that. Okay, I'm kind of blocking. A Texas judge ruled this week that Subway sandwich chain acted illegally when it stripped a soldier of the 2 restaurants he owned while he was deployed to Afghanistan with the National Guard, according to a report in the Dallas Morning News. A day later, a second judge vacated the 2006 eviction judgment against Lieutenant Colonel Leon Batty Jr. The 2 rulings together mean I'm finally starting to see some justice for the first time in a long time. This is the first time I feel as if justice is finally being served. I have some small glimmer of hope. After deployment, Batty enlisted for active duty and is now based in Illinois. An attorney for Batty, Grant Walsh, told the Morning News that the first ruling, which acknowledged a violation of the U.S. Service Member Civil Relief Act, means that the case can move on to damage phases, and noted that his legal bills have reached 6 figures. Wow. Shit. So hopefully this Lieutenant Colonel is going to be getting a boatload of dough from Subway. That's better quality than their bread.
I'm gonna say they weren't fucking good enough. But hypothetically, just for fun, let's just say they were good reasons. Subway Corporate identifies 2 restaurants in Dallas, Texas that aren't living up to the Subway standard, and they're like, what's going on here? What should we do? Oh, the owner's on deployment in fucking Afghanistan and isn't there to run it appropriately. Should we A, step in and help during the most stressful time of their entire life, presumably?
Absolutely.
Or should we B, repo their businesses, take their family's livelihood, so that while they're also fighting a war, they can deal about their family back home and losing their business? Huge W for corporate Subway. Makes them look great. I'm sorry, I'm getting horrifically sidetracked, but you guys get it. The franchise agreement is complete and utter bullshit and has been for the majority, if not the entire time Subway's been in business. Back to the timeline. In the 1980s and the 1990s, Subway is growing like crazy, and then in 1999, they have their first major scandal when 32 people in Seattle got hepatitis from 2 different Subway locations.
Oh, the fuck that. You guys said this was overseas. This is fucking Seattle. Class action lawsuit filed today in King County Superior Court against the 2 Subway salmon shops implicated in the recent hepatitis A outbreak. The named plaintiff is Anita Shurahoff. Ms. Shurahoff ate a sandwich purchased at Subway located at Shoreline on September 19, 1999. On October 15th, she began to feel dizzy and weak and dizzy, also suffered severe nausea. She had numerous visits to doctors, repeated lab tests. She had been unable to work for several weeks. Because she'd been exposed to this virus, she's no longer able to give blood or donate an organ. According to the Seattle King County Department of Public Health, 31 Washington residents have reported contracting hepatitis A virus since October 15th. The majority of individuals who have contracted the virus live or work in Northeast Seattle or East Shoreline. An investigation by the health department has determined the likely sources of the outbreak to be 2 North Sydney, Seattle Subway shops. See release from Seattle King Department of Public Health. Unfortunately, the number of victims is likely to rise because the incubation period can be several weeks and there's a substantial risk of person-to-person exposure. Holy fuck. They fucking Subway literally unleashed a fucking plague on Seattle. What the fuck? They literally unleashed a fucking plague. Holy shit.
For eating a sandwich, one of which was a 6-year-old boy who went into acute liver failure and had to get a liver transplant.
I didn't understand
God.
what you said. Could you put that in layman terms for me?
I'll be honest, didn't even know you could get hepatitis from a sandwich, but a new fear has just been unlocked for me, and I think we can all agree that, you know, the healthy, fresh option giving you hepatitis isn't a great look for Subway. So now Subway's hurting. They need a new PR campaign to turn this entire thing around, and in 2000, 1 year later, they find it in a college student that had lost like 250 pounds, supposedly only eating Subway, Jared Fogle. He starts filming commercials talking about how much weight he lost only eating Subway. He's bringing up his old pants, and now he can fit in like one leg of the pants, showing off how much weight he lost. It is a humongous marketing success. Legitimately one of the most iconic and successful marketing campaigns of all time. Everybody knows Jared from Subway. He becomes the face of the company. It's so successful that Subway corporate said between 2000 and 2011, they credit Jared's ad campaign with 1/3 to 1/2 of their growth during that time. And during that time, they tripled in size. So you can't really argue with the results of this ad campaign. However, it's not something I would ever advise, having somebody off the street become the national spokesperson for your humongous company. Why? Because if they do some crazy shit, it's going to make the entire company look bad, and this is why most huge companies have a fictional character as their mascot. You've got Ronald McDonald, Burger King, the Michelin Tire Man, Tony the Tiger. They're cartoons. They're safe. They're never going to get pulled over for a DUI while they have a pile of blow and a hooker in the back seat. Like that.
You know, they're not gonna get busted for having kitty porn on their fucking computer.
That's the idea. And I'm sure you all know what I'm getting at, because in 2015, Jared Fogle ends up getting arrested and sent to federal prison for 15 years for, and I quote, illicit sexual conduct with a minor and having a bunch of illicit child material on his computer. Okay, unpopular.
Yeah, he was a kitty dibbler. Jared Fogle, the mascot for Subway, was a kitty diddler. Laughing Subway, fucking bravo. Yeah, you know what? You're right. Prof, you're right. Tell it to Chucky. Yeah, tell that to Charles Entertainment Cheese, who got fucking hooked up by the Florida police for fucking credit card theft. No, that's actually one thing Nick didn't account for. Yeah, you could have a fictional character as your mascot, but when the person wearing the costume of the fictional mascot gets looked up for credit card theft and identity theft, well, that kind of just throws that whole thing right out the fucking window now, doesn't it?
Okay, unpopular opinion, 15 years, not enough. Okay, there's nothing funny about this, but the amount of just tragic irony and foreshadowing that the college student that got famous for
Yes. Jared Fogle was released from prison, late 2010s, I believe it was. He is currently out of prison. He's a registered child sex offender, but he is out of prison.
amount of just tragic irony and foreshadowing that the college student that got famous for fitting into a smaller pair of pants ultimately gets put in federal prison for trying to get in little kids' pants is horrific. Now, that happened in 2015.
Yeah.
Luckily for Subway, they'd kind of been phasing Jared out as their head of marketing since 2008 when they came out with the $5 footlong. Again, I'm not saying a lot of positive stuff about Subway, but their marketing team is on point because the $5 footlong
True.
also is one of the most iconic marketing campaigns of all time. I mean,
Yes.
we all
This jingle, this was an earwormy jingle. Anybody that has ever heard this jingle, either when it was on TV or if you've seen it in like a video, like a nostalgia video about, old commercials, this jingle was a fucking earworm. Okay, I can actually hear it in my head right now. Literally, I can hear it in my head. $5 foot long. I'm like, it's a fucking earworm that will stick with you for the rest of your fucking life. And yes, now you're gonna be hearing that for the rest of the night. You're welcome.
know the $5 footlong jingle. $5 footlong. The only jingle that's ever been made that's better than that is J.G. Wentworth, and I don't even know what the fuck J.G. Wentworth does, but I will know his song till the day I die. So the Subway $5 footlong.
Oh God, yes, that one. Oh, J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. Yes, I heard the J.G. Wentworth jingle. God help me. If you need cash now, call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. Oh, God, it's stuck in my brain now. Oh, fuck, it's stuck in my brain now. Damn it, why did I do that to myself? I will be hearing that fucking night.
Absolutely dominates. This came out in 2008, right when, the housing market crashed, the economy's in the tank. You could go and buy a footlong sandwich for $5. People loved it. Well, most people loved it. Pretty much everybody loved it except for the franchise owners, because the franchise owners were like making little to no money. Some of the sandwiches they were even losing money on at the $5 price point. But they have to do it because Subway can set the prices, and if they can't set the prices, they can at least advertise the fuck out of it so everybody that comes into your Subway expects a $5 footlong. And then once you've already made it and they're mad that it's not $5, what are you gonna do? Throw it away? You're gonna sell it for $5 and save what money you can. I don't know what you're thinking. Why would Subway be willing to make a $5 footlong if they're not making money on it? Oh, that's simple, because Subway corporate doesn't give a fuck about its franchise owners. At least that's
Exactly. It's not that Subway's not making money off it. The franchisees are not making money off it. They still have to pay the corporation their cut for having a Subway in the first place. And corporate doesn't care if the Subway closes down because they know there's going to be another sucker willing to buy up the franchise on top of it because they don't realize the bullshit that goes on behind the scenes. And all the layman is going to see is, oh, I can get a Subway franchise dirt fucking cheap to start this up. Shit, it's easy money. They get into it before they realize, oh, I've got to basically make a deal with the devil and give Subway a huge chunk of my money and I will never be profitable. And it's literally just simply rinse and repeat over and fucking over again.
what it would appear to be, right? They're screwing them over left and right, and Subway takes 12.5% of their gross revenue, meaning not profit, so they're taking 12.5% of that $5, even if it costs them $6 to make it. Subway corporate is still getting paid. Fuck the franchise owner. And this is kind of the peak and then the downward slide of Subway, because the controversies just keep coming after this. First, they get busted because the footlongs aren't actually a foot long. People are walking in with tape measures, measuring them. They're 10 inches, 11 inches, not 12 inches. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of defend Subway
Oh God, do I make the joke? Oh God, do I make the joke? No. I will, you know, I will spare a certain someone and not make the joke. Nope, nope, nope. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to make the joke. Do. Okay, there's another joke I can make on top of that, but I'm not going to do it because you guys will actually take it seriously. I will just say, how long is long enough? And you in chat know exactly who I'm talking to. How long is long enough? Again?
Measuring them, they're 10 inches, 11 inches, not 12 inches. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of defend Subway on this one because this is a stupid complaint. It's the same amount of dough. They just didn't stretch it out enough before they put it in the oven. It's the same amount of bread, the same amount of calories.
I mean, this is fair.
You're getting what you paid for. And that's really all Subway had to say was,
okay, you guys that don't get it. A while back, we did a react, and there was a reference to 7 inches, and Atanashi made a joke that said, 7 inches is quite big, and I respond with, oh, you poor man. Oh, did your wife tell you that 7 inches was gigantic? Oh, you sweet summer child. Joking, of course. Only joking, of course.
it's the same amount of bread, the same amount of calories. You're getting what you paid for. And that's really all Subway had to say. It was like, hey, sorry, the employee didn't stretch the dough out long enough before he stuck it in the oven, but all the bread is still there. And everybody would have been like, oh, that makes sense. That's cool. Do you think that's what Subway did? No. Absolutely not. Instead, they released an official statement on their Facebook that says, and I quote, with regards to the size of the bread and calling it a footlong, Subway footlong is a registered trademark as a descriptive name for the sub sold in Subway restaurants and not intended to be a measurement of length. Translation, just because we call it a footlong doesn't mean you can expect it to be a foot long. That's just what we call it, you fucking...
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. Yes, my response... it was a while ago. I forgot when it was said that 7 inches is very sizable. My response was, "Oh, bless your heart." I did. I pulled out the southern. Oh, bless your heart, honey.
Just because we call it a footlong doesn't mean you can expect it to be a foot long. That's just what we call it, you fucking idiot. Yeah, that Facebook post went about as well as you'd expect. They ended up taking it down. The balls to be like, we call it a footlong sub because we call it a footlong sub, not because it's 12 inches long, and if you interpret it as that way, you're dumb, is insane. To be fair though, a 2x4 hasn't been a 2x4 since like 1960 and nobody seems to care. Probably because the lumber companies don't scoff and look at you like you're a moron if you expect a 2x4 to be 2x4, but whatever. So then Subway loses their damn mind. They think they have trademarked the phrase footlong in regards to sandwiches, even though a footlong to them doesn't mean 12 inches, which ultimately leads them to suing Casey's gas station, which I've done a video on. My favorite pizza on the planet is Casey's gas station pizza. They file a lawsuit against Casey's because Casey's also makes sub sandwiches, and their 12-inch long sandwich they call a footlong. So Subway tries to sue them for trademark infringement on a fucking measurement. A measurement that they...
Yeah, this is gonna go down about as well as a fucking church. But the judge is gonna laugh this the fuck out of court.
Don't even abide by. Do you understand how fucking insane that is? That'd be like if I opened up a milk company and I sold, quote, gallons of milk and I trademarked the phrase gallon of milk, and then I only sold you 3 quarts of milk, and then I turned around and sued the motherfucker actually selling you a gallon of milk. It's insanity. Obviously, they lost this fucking lawsuit because duh. So Subway's on its down slump, and then they just lose all credibility as being healthy in the coming scandals. Buh! What do you mean it's not healthy? Jared lost 250 pounds doing it. Buh! Okay, Jared lost a bunch of weight because he was eating 2 6-inch subs a day and they were mostly vegetables. He was eating like 1,200 calories. You can eat 1,200 calories of literally fucking anything and you're gonna lose weight. If you eat 1,200 calories of Slim Jims and M&Ms, you're gonna lose weight, especially if you're doing a bunch of cardio chasing children at a playground like that sick pervert. In 2017, CBS...
Okay. The kitty diddling thing aside, Nick is absolutely right about the 1,200 calories, because it's not about what you're eating. It's about your caloric intake. So if you could eat like dog shit food, but if you're only eating enough to substantiate 1,200 calories per day and you're still maintaining some kind of physical exercise, you are going to lose weight. It's absolutely about, you basically need to do calories out. I can't believe I was about to quote someone, but basically it's all in regards to what is your intake and what is your output in terms of calories. So it's kind of like how we saw the thing about how people were able to lose weight on as a counter argument for Supersize Me. There were multiple people that were actually able to lose weight on a strictly McDonald's diet because they monitored their caloric intake and they moderated it with mild exercise, and they were actually able to lose weight eating only McDonald's. Not because McDonald's is healthier in any way, shape, or form, but they made sure to monitor how many calories they were taking in from the McDonald's that they ordered every day. That's what it's all about.
News network decided they were going to conduct a little study on Subway chicken. They bought a sandwich, they took the chicken, took it to a lab, and found out that the chicken that Subway sells is anywhere from 42% to 53% chicken. What the fuck is the rest of it? Wait, let me guess. You trademarked the term chicken breast, and now if anybody assumes that a chicken breast is made out of chicken, we're obviously fucking stupid. Is that what it is? Thankfully, no, they learned their lesson. They did not go that route again. What they did was they're like, okay, we're fucking up. We're gonna make sure that the chicken is actually 100% chicken. No, I'm just kidding. They turned around and tried to sue CBS for malicious news and took them to court, and they lost again. Because as it turns out, it's not.
Oh my God, this is literally how many times we gotta teach you this, old man?
Not illegal to tell the truth.
There is no way in hell that I am going to say oh, I'm really worried I'm going to say it.
Then in 2020 in Ireland was instituting a new tax where they were going to, have to tax more on food made in restaurants, and Subway came to the table and they argued, well, Ireland has certain staple foods that you can't increase taxes on, and one of those staple foods is bread, and we make all of our bread fresh in our restaurants. We should be exempt from this tax. Okay, not a big fan of Subway right now. I'll admit it. I'll be up front. However, that's a reasonable point. And Ireland agrees. And Ireland is like, okay, we hear you. Send some bread off to the lab and we'll take a look at it. They send the bread off to the lab, and the Irish Supreme Court comes back and says, there's so much fucking sugar in this bread. You're not legally allowed to call this bread in the country of Ireland. You have to classify this as cake. You're selling cake sandwiches. And all of this just keeps coming out one after another after another. It's promoted by a pedophile. The franchises aren't making money. The foot-long sandwiches are only 10 inches long and they're not bread. They're made out of cake. Half the chicken inside the chicken isn't even fucking chicken. Obviously, it leads to the public perception that Subway isn't that fucking healthy. And while all this is going on, they get rid of the $5 footlong and jack the fucking prices through the roof and then add a tip screen at checkout. Needless to say, Subway's in the fucking tank. They've closed down 7,600 locations since 2015, and they're closing down hundreds, if not thousands of locations every single year, and they are on a humongous decline. And this entire thing is just a textbook.
By the way, that bread that the Irish court systems decreed as being cake tastes like shit now. Like the Subway bread is horrific now. That's why I have not had Subway for a very long time, because the last time I had Subway, it was not like the delicious soft bread that I loved from Subway. It was now like hard, like borderline stale hardness, and like the taste of it was terrible. Yeah, it's absolutely become worse, and it's why I will not eat at Subway anymore.
Locations every single year, and they are on a humongous decline. And this entire thing is just a textbook example of shitty leadership ruining an A-grade idea, because a Subway franchise was a golden idea, a brilliant idea. Super cheap to start up, didn't need any specialized equipment. Everybody that knows how to breathe and chew bubble gum can learn how to make a sandwich in like 5 seconds. It was so easy to make a ton of money, but instead, Subway corporate was like, we're gonna make as much money as possible and fuck over all the franchisees, even though they're on on our team. All they had to do was be like, hey, we're going to structure this in a way so that the franchisees are winning, then we're going to win, and everybody's going to fucking win. But no, they took the easy way out to make as much money as they could, as fast as they could, and they didn't give a shit about anybody else, and it tanked the entire company. They ended up selling to Rourke Capital in 2024, which owns Jimmy John's and Arby's and a bunch of other restaurants. So hopefully a lot of this bad leadership stuff is gone already, or if not, it's getting phased out. Also, I've talked an outrageous amount of shit in this entire video, so I want to take a minute and just be like, hey, I understand if you're mad at Subway right now too. I am as well. However, your local Subway branch probably isn't owned by Big Subway. It's probably owned by somebody in your community that's just trying to make a living making sandwiches, and don't take it out on them. It's not their fault, and they're probably a lot more mad at corporate Subway than we are. Trust me. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch, maybe drink some Echelon. Links for both of those are over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out. Don't forget to go check out Supremacy World War III, unlock your railgun, and go conquer the British. It's what George Washington would have wanted.
Yeah, and all those corpos, before they sold it off, they went laughing all the way to the bank. They made their millions. They got their golden parachutes. They got their sale price, or they got their sales intake from selling off the company, and they're doing just fine while the franchise owners are getting royally fucked. Just remember that too.